Testing, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. Papa, can you hear me? You can. Okay, cool. Hey YouTube, how are you doing? My name is Blush Between the Covers, and I love smut books, but I also love makeup. So the point of this channel is to do makeup and talk about the books that I'm reading. Think Bailey Sarian and her Murder Mystery Makeup Mondays, but with smut instead. She does her makeup while talking about true crime just for something to do. I will be talking about the books that I'm reading and doing my makeup just for something to do. We do have a co-host. My cat is here. She is very involved all of the time, right? But if you like makeup and you like yapping, this is the channel for you. If you don't like makeup, that's okay. You don't have to. But if you like actively hate makeup, please seek help. Okay, you need to sort that out. Um, However, if you just want to hang out, listen to some yapping, even if you want a body double, anything like that, I'm here for you. Today we're going to be talking about Penelope Douglas's Corrupt, part of the Devil's Night series. I am on the third book right now, Kill Switch. I'm about halfway through it. Um, But yeah, so I've read Corrupt and Hideaway. Now I'm on Kill Switch. I will also be reading book 3.5, 4, and 4.5. Uh, yeah. If you have not read this book yet and you want to, do not continue watching this video further. I will be spoiling it for you. If you don't care about spoilers though, and you just want to know what happens, I got you. I'm going to be talking about it pretty much in its entirety. Um, Minus probably like a decent amount of plot. But without further ado, let us jump into the makeup. I just have to put up my hair and I will be right back. Okay, my hair's up. So let's talk about this book. Corrupt is an enemies to lovers type book. We've got two different perspectives throughout. There is a male and a female perspective. Our female main character, her name is Erica Fane. She is the daughter of a wealthy jewelry store owner. However, her father passed away in a car accident that she was also in. She has a scar on the side of her neck that she tends to cover with her hair a lot, mainly because, like, it's a reminder essentially that her father has passed. Um, Due to the loss of her father, her mom is a mess. She is on all sorts of pills to kind of like numb the pain, essentially. Um, but she's almost in a drug induced kind of like, I don't want to say coma because she's awake, she's alive, she's what, well, not well. um, but she's there, but she's not really able to take care of herself, and in that she's not really able to take care of Erica. Um, Erica also goes by Rika, so I'm gonna just call her that throughout. When I first like read that and heard that, I was like, that's kind of dumb. I don't like that name. That's stupid. But the more I read it and the more I like, I don't know, thought about it, I was like, oh, okay, wait, that's kind of cute. So Rika grew on me. So, uh, yeah, she's not really able to take care of Rika, and like, that's all fine and dandy because Rika has the Christ family. Now, the Christ family is where our second character comes into view, for lack of a better way to put it. Um, our male character is Michael Christ. So he is the brother of Rika's ex-boyfriend at this point. Michael is a bad boy, kind of. Well, yeah, Michael's a bad boy. He's also a freaking star athlete. He's a star basketball player. Um, he went pro in college, and now he's out there touring the world playing basketball. But we'll get into that later. But Rika spends a lot of time with the Christ family. They're like neighbors, so she's not too far from home. Um, but she spends so much time with them that she's got her own, room in their house. The Christ family is also super duper wealthy. Um, they're like one of the elite families in Thunder Bay. But Rika spends a lot of time with them, so much that like Trevor, Michael's brother, really like I don't know, falls head over heels for Rika. They start dating for a little bit, but Rika's really not into him. It's pretty clear that from early on, Rika is into Michael. He's like, that dangerous, mysterious bad boy that you know, Earl's Law. I guess. But, he's different. He's not Trevor who's like up her butt and around the corner. So she freaking likes Michael, but she ends up going for Trevor because Trevor is, the safe option, and he won't really leave her alone. But Rika is about to start her sophomore year in college when we first meet her. The first chapter of the book, Rika is at a going away party for Trevor because Trevor is going to be going to Annapolis to do, some military training, whatever. He's joining the military. Um, Good for him. He's annoying anyway. Get him out of here. You'll find that out later if you read the book or if you've read the book. Yeah, no, Trevor gets on my nerves. But Trevor is going into the military, so they're having a going away party for him. Um, but who do we see there too? Michael. But Michael pretty much ignores Rika when she's there. But Rika pretty much has enough when she's at this party. She's just counting down the hours until she is off to Trinity College. Rika was originally going to Brown University with Trevor, but she was like, "This is not for me." Rika really just does not want a safety net anymore that she's always had. She just wants to, go off on her own and, not have a safety net. She doesn't want to have anybody to fall back on and come to her rescue. She wants to, just do something alone and not, have money or anything to fall back into. So she is going to Meridian City. She's got her own apartment and everything. But we'll get into that in a moment. That's like the next chapter. Um, but Rika leaves the party for Trevor early because, again, she's had enough. She just wants to leave. She just wants it to be the next day, and I don't blame her. Um, you know, I liked college. I was always excited to go back. Because I liked being on my own too. But Rika is just ready to go. So Rika goes home, but when she gets home, she realizes that there's a candle lit in her room, like in her window. She's like, "That's weird. That's suspicious. I didn't light that candle." So she thinks that it may have been her mom, but when she gets inside, um, and like looks into her mom's room, her mom's asleep. Um, so she's like, okay, well, I guess it wasn't my mom. But then she also sees a little present next to this candle. So she's like, oh, Trevor left me a present. Mrs. Chris left me a present. Who left me this? Um, so she opens it, and what is in the box? A dagger. Rika really likes you know, like swords and kind of medieval weapons. We will find out. Um, she's also really into fencing. So Rika opens up this box and she sees that it's a dagger. And I don't know what prompts her to look out the window, but she looks out the window. And looking out the window, she sees these three figures in masks. And this brings her back to Devil's Night and the Four Horsemen, which consist of Michael Crest, um, Kai Mori, Will Grayson, and Damon Torrance, all friends. These were boys that were on the high school basketball team uh, and just started this tradition of pulling some really serious pranks on Devil's Night. So, Devil's Night, a couple years passed, like 3 years passed. Um, Rika went out with them. She joined them. And then the next day, the three that were in masks, standing outside her window, got arrested. But Rika is looking at them and she's like, no, it can't be them. It wouldn't be them. But it is. And so she's like, what? I didn't realize that they were out of prison. Um, but they were. So Rika is like a little freaked out. She's a little sketched out. So she calls the security that is right down the road. And she's like, hey, there's three guys in my driveway. What the heck? And she looks out the window again while she's on the phone with security. And the guys aren't there anymore. She's like, that's freaking weird. But security comes, they look around, they're like, no one's here. We don't know what you're talking about, babe. So the security comes and they're like, girl, there's no one here. She just goes to bed, and we'll flash forward to the next day. So Rika is being let into her apartment that she rented in Meridian City, and the doorman manager guy is giving her a tour, and it's this super duper lavish, big ass apartment with like multiple rooms and everything like that. And she's like, this is not what I signed up for. And she says this to the apartment manager, the building manager. What is this hair? Hello? Okay. She says this to the um, apartment manager. Let me change this exposure. Okay. The sun is very prominent right now. She says this to the apartment manager, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, about that. So that rinky-dink one bed, one bath apartment that you applied for is no longer available. We're so sorry. But we're giving you this super duper lavish apartment that you are the only one on this floor. There's two apartments on this floor, but the other one is not inhabited. So, hotel manager's like, you won't have any neighbors. So don't worry. And you don't have to pay any more than you were going to pay for the smaller apartment. So, you know, our bad. Don't don't worry, babe. You're covered. And she's like, all right, well, thanks. She's kind of disappointed by this though, because again, she wants to live for herself. She wants to rough it, essentially. And, this really nice apartment, she's not really allowed to, I guess, because it's all furnished and it's so lavish and luxury. That she doesn't really have to do anything. She doesn't have to shop for anything. Like it's all there. So she's like bummed about this. Kind of rightfully so, I would say. Like, if you're looking forward to something, and it doesn't turn out how you expected it to, or like, wanted it to, kind of sucks. But I don't I don't know. I don't think I would complain about a nice apartment, but I get it. But she's like, all right, cool, thanks. But it raises, some red flags for her because she's like, why? This is so much nicer. Why don't I have to pay anymore for this? But she appreciates the gesture of like they goofed. Um, we'll we'll just run with the apartments that are available. So she doesn't really question it. She's just like, whatever, fine, I guess. Um, and a little bit of time goes by, and she hears some noises, and she's like, what the heck? And these are like screams, and they're female screams. So she is like, what in the butt is going on? And she goes to investigate because she's like, there should be nobody else on this floor. So who's yelling? Who's screaming? And are they in danger? Do they need help? So she, you know, goes and she investigates, and she comes to realize that these screams are not like in terror, they are more in pleasure. So she is like smirking. She's like, oh, haha, I didn't realize it was that kind of scream. So she backs away. But in backing away, she sees a figure, and the figure chases her down the stairwell. And upon coming out of the stairwell, she runs into, you guessed it, Michael. And she's like, what are you doing here? And he is like, what do you mean? I live here. And she is kind of confused for a second. But then, she's like, I thought you lived in your family's building. And he's like, Rika, use your brain, girlfriend. And, she puts two and two together that this is the Crest family's apartment building. And then the other pieces in her brain start to click that she was duped. Her nicer apartment is because it's the Christ family's. They, essentially set her up so that she wouldn't have to rough it. And she's feeling a little duped at this point, um, because she's now thinking back to Mrs. Christ sent her this apartment um, building to rent an apartment from and everything like that, and it's no wonder that they took care of her essentially, in the regard of having a really nice, spacious, luxurious apartment. So Rika goes back up to her apartment. Michael brings her back up there, and she's pissed. She's pissed off that she sees him. She's kind of pissed off that, you know, she's been duped, and now she can't sleep. Especially too, because she's on edge. She was just chased down the freaking stairwell of her apartment. Um, and it, how safe can you feel? When on your first night something like that happens. But she decides that because she can't sleep, she's going to paint a wall in her apartment red. So she stays up and she ends up doing this. And now when we flip over to Michael's point of view in his apartment, when Rika runs into him, he is with a um, female caller. We come to find out that this young woman is an escort that lives in the building. Her name is Alex. She goes to the same college that Rika does, and she's got her own little escort service. She is a a girl boss, but she was hired by Michael that evening to accompany him to a party and go go back up to his place and have some sassy time. So they get up to Michael's apartment, and she is like, all right, well, I'm ready to go. And Michael just goes and showers. And then he comes back and he's out in his towel. And he's looking out of his balcony. And from his balcony, he's got a clear shot into Rika's apartment. So he's watching her. And Alex comes over and she's like, you like her, don't you? He's like, no, I hate her. Blah, blah, blah. So he he goes on and he says all this, but his wiener is at freaking attention, okay? So she's like, yeah, okay. You hate her so much. Why is your pee hard? So she starts, you know, jerking his Johnson while he is looking at Rika paint her wall red. Um and yeah. So that happens and it gets interrupted by the three men in the masks from earlier. So Kai, Will, and Damon come up to Michael's apartment and interrupt the fun. um, but Alex ends up getting taken away by Damon, and you know, they take care of the business that needs to be taken care of. But they end up talking, and Michael's pissed. He's like, what the frick is wrong with you? Why would you scare her on her first night? We've got plenty of time to, you know, do this. And now you might be asking yourself, what is going on? Why do they want to scare her? Well, so remember how I said earlier that Rika tagged along with the Four Horsemen on Devil's Night 3 years ago? Well, she was the outlier in, you know, their typical Devil's Night shenanigans. And they get arrested the next day. Mm, pieces of the puzzle aren't, you know, fitting together. So they think that Rika is the reason that they went to jail. They served time because she's the one that leaked um, a bunch of footage that incriminated them for the crimes essentially that they did. So they, now that they are out of prison, want to get revenge. And, you know, these are Michael's friends. So Michael is also pissed and he's going to help his friends get their revenge. So we learned too that the whole point of Rika, you know, being in Delcor is so that the four of them have access to her, you know, 24/7, um, you know, 365 essentially. So, um, you know, they want to have access to her and make her life a living hell. Okay. The horsemen are, you know, out for blood essentially because they think that again, she is the one that sent them to prison. So in, you know, their plot for revenge, they, you know, go through a whole slew of things. Really, they put Erica through freaking hell. By the end of everything, they, you know, threaten her. Um, they send her mom away. But they end up lying to her too. And you know, she thinks that her mom is on a cruise with the Christ family. Um, but yeah, they make these ominous types of threats and calls throughout the book. And Michael's like, you know, just take care of it. Take care of you know, Mrs. Fane. And, you know, we don't know as a reader what the heck is going on. You know, perhaps they killed her. Um but they make these threats and everything, and they end up draining her assets too, to the point where she doesn't have anything. She doesn't have money, nothing. And they're able to do this because the Christ family uses the same accountant that the Fane family does. And also, Mr. Christ is the, what is the word for that? Not beneficiary, is it? No, I don't know. He's like the overseer, though, of the Fane, money, real estate, everything like that until Rika is of age to, um, you know, act upon her family's business. So Michael goes and convinces his father to let him, have access to their accounts, and he will, take over and take one thing off his plate and help his father because he's thinking of his future, and basketball is not forever, blah blah blah. And we're like, okay, sure, Michael, you've got ulterior motive. But Michael already says, in his point of view, that he has ulterior motive. So um he is able to take hold of her accounts and drain everything. But they put this poor girl through freaking everything. And does she deserve any of it? No. Because Rika is not the reason that they went to jail. Well, so kind of. And the reason that I say kind of is because she's not the one that, leaked the videos and sent them to jail, but she is the reason that the person that did leak all of the evidence, um, you know, did what they did, because they were jealous. And I will give you about 3 seconds to think about who whomst may have done such a thing. If you said Trevor, you are correct. The brother. Why? Because Trevor was jealous. He, knew that Rika had this need and sense for danger and wanted something, essentially that she kind of couldn't have because she's meant to be like this precious girl staying out of trouble, um, girl next door type, blonde hair, blue eyed, perfect little angel. Um, and she liked that Michael and the Horsemen were like dangerous, so to speak. Um, and Trevor found out those years ago that she went and was doing Devil's Night stuff with them. But Trevor also tagged along that night and had a prank of his own. Um, and he had on I's mask at the time and scared the living daylights out of Rika. And she thought it was the horseman, cornering her without Michael to tell her that she wasn't welcome in their fun and their activities, and you know essentially like, bye, get out, you're not supposed to be with us. But again, it was just a prank and whatever. So we find out though, that the horseman put her through everything for nothing. She didn't do it. And once they figure out who did, it puts them on edge all over again. And at this point too, Damon has fled. Damon is the real bad seed of the freaking bunch, but he attacked Rika, and she stood up for herself. She freaking stabbed him. And rightfully so. But she stabs Damon, and Damon ends up, you know, kind of fleeing, running away. He needs to go take care of, this Trevor nonsense. So now the horsemen have to go and deal with Trevor and find Damon before anything else can happen. But in a twist of fate, um, Trevor comes and deals with the horsemen on his own. So Rika is in her apartment one evening. She is eepy sleepy, um, and she wakes up in the middle of the night, and there is a figure in her apartment, and she goes to run, but they get her, they kidnap her, um, and she gets brought out to sea on the Christ family boat. And while they are kidnapping her, they leave a note behind for Michael, because at this point in the story, too, um, Michael and Rika, they are in love. They have been in love. Let's be so freaking for real. They've been in love with each other for a really long time. Like many, 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 many years. Michael has loved Rika, since they were young. Like realistically since she was born. Because when she was a baby, they put Rika in his hands and he was like, I like her. I'm going to protect her. But then they like took her away and put her next to Trevor. And then they were like, wow, they're gonna grow up and marry each other and it's gonna be great. like like a planned marriage from the freaking start to combine the family's wealth and everything like that. But Michael cared for her from the very beginning, and then when they believed that she is the reason that they went to jail, he still you know cared about her, but like was pissed that he cared about her because again they thought that she was the reason that they had gone to jail. Rika had also been in love, with Michael for many years, as we, essentially know, because again, he was bad boy, and he did. Hold on. So anyway, now that there's no cat butt in my face, um, we know that Erica has had a thing for Michael for a really long time, um, because he was everything that she could not be. He did things on his own. He was his own person. He didn't let anything stop him. He lived fearlessly. He had the strength and the courage to be his own person. And, he tried for so long to, kind of get her to do the same thing and realize that she doesn't have to be anybody that doesn't want to be. She needs the strength to become her own person and like do what she wants to do. But anyway, she gets kidnapped. And Michael goes to her apartment and he's pissed because he's like, why isn't she answering my text messages? Why didn't she let me into her apartment? What is going on? And we see that there is a note left behind for him that just says the name of the Christ family boat. So he picks it up, reads this note, and he immediately knows what the hell's going on. So he calls Will and Kai, and they get their buns in gear, and they go out to sea and go try to save Rika. So they take Kai's family speedboat and they're out at sea racing to get to her. And we find out when Rika comes to, because they knocked her out, that, Trevor had kidnapped her. But Trevor wasn't in this alone. He had Damon's help. And, we're like, what the frick? Why Damon helping? That is cuckoo bananas. But Damon helps because, again, he feels that all of this happened because of Rika. If it weren't for her, uh, nothing would have happened. Trevor obviously acted out of jealousy, and if she was not part of the picture, it never would have happened. So again, Damon is still out for revenge on her because if Michael didn't care about her, again, it wouldn't have happened, and she was going to take his friends away from him in his mind because it's the four of them, and it's only ever going to be the four of him in his mind, and she is going to change everything by being around and being one of them. But once Michael, Kai, and Will get to the boat, things go so freaking sideways, dude. Things get pretty crazy pretty quickly. So once Michael, Kai, and Will are on the boat, they are obviously trying to stop Damon and Trevor from what they are about to do. They've got Rika tied up and they've got cinder blocks attached to her feet. And a bunch of, fisticuffs are thrown, for lack of a better way to put it, and a bunch of, fighting is going on. Kai is fighting Damon. Will is missing at this point, and they're like, "What is going on? Where the hell is Will?" And then a body goes over the edge of the boat, and Rika's right there. Will's missing, so who went over the edge? Will. So Michael jumps into the water. He's like, "Oh my god, I have to go save Will." So Will is freaking sinking fast. Clearly, he's got on cinder block flippers, you know? So he is in the water trying to save his friend, and he does. Don't worry, he does. But as they rise to the surface, another body goes into the water. And this time, it's Rika's body that hits the water. So Michael's freaking out. Okay, he's gotta save Rika and fast. So he, is trying to get Will to safety, but he also has to save the freaking love of his life. So he dives down, and Will goes with him, and they are going to save Rika. But Rika, she she's a bad bitch, okay? And she saves herself. She frees herself from her cinder block flippers, and she is rising to the surface, and Michael, is able to grab hold of her and, brings her to safety too. So they're back on the boat, and now Trevor's got a gun. Sorry. But yeah, Trevor's got a gun. And he is ready to kill both of them. Um, and make out with, Rika's money, and um, not have to deal with his brother anymore. He's so, blinded by this jealousy and this rage that he's gonna just put an end to both of them. And he's like, well, sayonara, suckers, and goes to, pull the trigger. But Michael puts an end to Trevor first. Um, Michael ends up killing Trevor, his brother. He ends up killing his brother. Um, in Trevor's body falls into the pool that's on the boat, which I understand. Okay. Um, I'm not a boat person. I'm not a rich girly by any means, but like I don't understand pools on boats. Okay? Like why you're you're in water, but you want to be in water while you're on a boat? Like you already are. Why don't you just hop in the ocean? Take a little dip with the sharky sharks, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, Michael ends up killing Trevor, and now he's got to tell his family everything that has gone on, and that's just wild, wild to me. Um, Wild for a bunch of reasons, but pretty crazy that he went and killed his brother. But obviously, self defense. He had to. There was no other way to go about anything. But now with this information, they can rest essentially, knowing that they're safe-ish now, and the reason that they went to jail is behind them. They dealt with it, but that's not all. During all of this, Damon flees. Damon, he's hot to go. He is HOTTOGO. Dips. Okay. Um, Cannot, go down for anything that has happened. He's already been to jail. He's not going again. Frick that, my guy. So Damon flees, and now, they have to search for him all over again. And they're also pissed off because they're like, why did he join up with Trevor? Like, he was our friend. Why would he betray us as well? But Damon runs, he flees, and, now they have to find him because Damon's also just a loose cannon in general. He is crazy. Damon crazy. And we find that out more, as all of the story's gone, and honestly, I will say, kind of rightfully so. Through the things that happened to Damon, but we'll get into that in a couple other videos when we talk about the other books. But he is out on the run, and now the horsemen are, you know, trying to chill, and they've uh, added Erica to the group. Essentially, they've officially welcomed her into their circle, because like I said, her and Michael are in love. And obviously too, it it didn't take until freaking Trevor thrown her overboard that Michael realized that he was in love with her. And would literally do anything for her, die for her, kill for her, all of the things. So romantic. Um, but they're in love now, and Michael has officially told his parents, that he had to kill Trevor because Trevor is a bad guy. And now too, the horsemen get hold of the phone that incriminated them because Rika knew where Trevor would put this valuable, valuable, and valuable information, um, to make sure that he had the upper hand forever. So they have, their incriminating evidence, and now they can, kind of be put to rest again, minus Damon. I'm gonna go do my eyeliner off camera because I like really choke up on the mirror. Also, it's really hard for me to draw a line and talk, so I'll be right back. Okay, liner's on, mascara's done. Let's keep yapping. So, So Michael has, gone now and told his family everything that has happened. Um, and they are back, you know, in Thunder Bay, chillaxing, having a nice fam dinner. And Michael, takes Rika um, out and takes her to St. Killian's, which I didn't touch on this while talking about the book. I was just kind of giving you the main points of the story. Um, but he takes Rika to St. Killian's, which is where they had their first Devil's Night escapades. So St. Killian's Cathedral is in shambles at this point, too. It is nothing but ruins uh, of a cathedral that used to be standing. So Michael takes Rika there, and he's like, "Hey, I bought this land, and I am going to restore um, it and rebuild." And Rika's like, "Oh, you're gonna restore the cathedral? Like, weird." And he's like, "No, it's not going to be a cathedral anymore. It's going to be my home and yours too, if you want it to be." And then good old Michael pops the question. He's like, "Hey, Erica Fane, will you make me the happiest freaking horseman alive and be my wifey?" And of course, Rika says, "Yeah." Um, but they don't uh get married until after she's done with college. That is their agreement. And he's like, "Hey, yeah, cool. As long as you are my little monster, um, for the rest of my life." And then they start freaking it, um, yeah, in the cathedral ruins, and they lived happily ever after in the end. But like I said, Damon's still on the loose, and they have to track him down, which is, how we know the story is never truly over. But I really freaking enjoyed this book. I am really enjoying this series. Um, I shout out to Penelope Douglas because this book went way differently than I had anticipated when I had first read the description. I thought that there was going to be like a lot of torture, and like I don't know. I thought that they were really going to put Rika through the ringer more than they did. Like I thought that there was going to be like more bodily harm, I guess. Like I don't know. I don't I don't know how to explain what I was really like anticipating. But I'm not disappointed in the slightest. Not at all. Uh it was a really, really good read. If you did read it, sound off below what you thought. Um Hold on. It's really hard for me to do lip stuff. So hold on. My mouth moves too much. So give me a second. Okay, I went a little ham sandwich off camera and I added lashes and beauty marks. um but I super duper enjoyed this book. So please sound off in the comments below if you liked this book, if you didn't read this book, if you plan on reading it, and like don't care that I spoiled it for you. Um, yeah, I'm excited to read more and um, do more makeup and talk about books. So thanks for hanging out with me. If you liked the video, like it. If you disliked it, disliked it. That's fine. But I hope that you had a good time. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Um, this is my first ever video, and I am looking forward to making more. So, thanks for hanging out. Bye.